Hey, Journey family and friends, welcome to Midweek Conversations this week. Pastor John here with Pastor Dustin Agard.
Yes, sir.
And Pastor D.A., we've got a special guest.
We got a special guest.
Introduce
Pastor
our guest.
G. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me here.
So good to have you, Pastor Gonzalo Venegas. Is that how you say your last
Gonzalo
name?
Venegas.
Okay. The way you just said it sounded different than the way I just said it.
Just a little bit.
Say it again.
Gonzalo Venegas.
Yeah, that's not how I said
That's
it.
why people call me Pastor G.
So Pastor G is a pastor at Encounter Christian Church.
Yes.
And really, the reason we wanted to have him on is yesterday, or I should say this past week, was a really, really special week. This was the official launch of his church plant, Encounter Christian Church, and you're wearing the swag right now.
Nice.
And actually, Journey family, I wasn't able to be with you this past weekend. Heard it was incredible. Heard the message was great. The service was great. I was blessed to be a part of Pastor G's first service, so I was able to go there. And so we just want to hear a little bit about you and kind of unpack. So tell us a little bit about you. I know some of them might remember you because you actually spoke about a year now ago.
It was during the COVID shutdown. We were shut down, but I think Pastor G came over and spoke one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not from Central Florida. Where are you from?
Born and raised in Chicago, and then from there lived in Michigan for many years, and planted a church there, and pastored the church there for years, and then came here, felt a calling to plant a church here in Kissimmee, Florida.
So you're in Kissimmee. What's your actual location?
We're in Kissimmee, Florida, on the campus of Johnson University.
Yeah. So for our people that don't know watching this, Johnson University is a Christian church university that we've been partnering with for
Many years.
Yeah, many years.
Pastor Harvey Carpenter is a graduate of Johnson. It wasn't called that then, but it's where Pastor Harvey went.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really cool to see that your church plant's taking place there, and what a great opportunity for you guys, as I know, to be on a college campus right in that community is really, really important too.
It's an honor. It really is. It's a huge blessing, and it's crazy that before we knew Johnson University was there, which we're partnered and connected with, but even before we knew they were there, we had checked data and information, and we were praying on which area of Kissimmee to plant a church at, and we had identified that very area without knowing Johnson was there. So Johnson being there was just something that God was doing, even though we didn't know at the time.
That's really cool. Now, your church is Pastor John, his church is a little different than maybe some of the churches you went to in Kentucky.
Probably.
It's a little different than some of the churches I grew up going to.
Gotcha.
And so I went yesterday, and sure enough, it was a little different. Tell us, that's part of the vision.
Yes.
And tell us what that difference means, and kind of, you're unique in a good way. So tell us about that uniqueness.
Well, and I was mentored and discipled by people that were amazing men and women of God that were from the traditional aspect of church, right? And so that's what I'm super grateful. But through that, I learned what God was calling me to, which was more of a urban context. And so I Encounter Christian Church has a worship service that is multilingual. It's a multicultural, and so you'll have different languages there from time to time. So English will be the main one, but it will have different languages on the bridge, on the chorus.
Spanish, and I knew this coming in, and I thought, I know one Spanish song.
Okay.
And I was like, please play it, because then I can lean in. Yeah. Y'all didn't play my song yesterday. It's Feliz Navidad. That's the only...
It's out of season, man.
Well, it's all I got. And when Mindy, shout out to Mindy, one of your worship leaders, when Mindy broke into the bridge in Spanish, I was just getting into this song on freedom, and then she broke into the bridge, and it took me a second to realize what was happening, and I realized she was going into Spanish, and it was really beautiful. And even though I don't know how to speak or sing in Spanish, it was really beautiful. And I have to say, I can't remember being in a church. I've seen a song done like that, but not an intentional strategy. And so I thought that's really unique. That's part of y'all's calling. And so really excited about that for y'all.
No, thank you. And the amazing part of it is that we're expanding even the worship aspect. Where we're gonna do other languages too. We're gonna throw in some Zulu, some Swahili, some Portuguese, some French Creole. So those are the things that we're definitely.
That's a lot of big words for some of our audience and myself. I think those were languages.
Yes, they are languages. So different languages, man, that we're praying and putting in the worship. And again, the base is always going to be the English because it's an all English service. It's just the worship aspect going to have to reflect our community.
I love the intentionality of the multicultural. It's intentionally multicultural. And I think that's so important to the church of the future. And particularly in large urban areas like Central Florida is. It is the community. Our community is very diverse, and that's something that we feel very passionately about a journey. And we celebrate is multicultural ministry. I love that. I think that's what the kingdom should look like. However, it has its challenges.
It does, big time.
Multicultural ministry. I heard someone say this: we all love the idea of diversity. We don't like the diversity of ideas.
Yes.
And
sometimes we might get something like, "Hey, you didn't play my song today."
Yeah.
Well, your church, you could be, "You didn't speak my language today." Yeah. That's a big. That's a different level.
It is.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Pastor G, you gave us just a little bit of your background. Tell us a little bit about your family, wife, children, things like that.
Yeah, so I have my beautiful, wonderful wife, Amanda, and we have 3 daughters. And so they are 15, 14, and then one that just turned a year old on the 3rd of April.
Oh,
yeah.
baby.
Yes.
Fresh little girl.
Yes.
Awesome.
Tamara.
Yeah.
Tamara.
Yep, Tamara.
I was thinking that might be a Kentucky version of saying tomorrow, but I asked him about that. He said no. It's a.
So what's happening tomorrow?
That's what we were joking about. That he said no. This has meaning. It's not redneck version, Dustin. I said I thought it was redneck version of tomorrow.
Pastor G, on the Encounter Church, you got a little slogan right underneath that. So tell what does that say?
And so our slogan is stepping into the unknown of the all-knowing.
Stepping into the unknown of the all-knowing.
And if you'd like to hear a whole message on that, that was what was this past weekend. The message was, and we're going to put a clip right here where you can follow their website and maybe even listen to that message. But obviously, you're not going to give us 30 minutes, but unpack that for a minute or two.
Yeah.
I thought the message was great this past weekend, but go ahead and share for us.
And so stepping into the unknown of the all-knowing is basically from Hebrews 11:1.
Okay.
And so, and even just talking about how, just stepping into the assurance of who God is. That a lot of times we can't logically explain who God is to others that don't believe. But believing and having that faith in God is putting our trust in Him regardless of what we don't see. Is the assurance and the commitment that we know that the unseen created of what is seen. That He created everything out of nothing,
We're doing right now here at Journey a series called Shift Your If, and it's based on one of Mark Batterson's books, If. And Batterson has a great quote. He says, faith isn't logical. It's not illogical.
Yep.
It's theological.
Yes.
That's good.
And I like that. Faith is theological.
Yes.
And helping people step into the unknown. Yeah. That sounds awesome, man. Yeah. Is that something that God just kind of put in your spirit, Pastor G, for a while, and you just thought, man, if I get the opportunity to plant a church, I want to make that kind of because our tagline here is everybody's welcome, nobody's perfect, through Jesus, anything's possible. And lines like that you put on shirts, that's something God puts in your spirit a long time before it gets on a shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, and so stepping into the unknown is scary. The faith journey is scary, but as we step into the unknown and you look at the hall of faith, right, in Hebrews 11, you see all these people, not characters, but people that stepped in faith. Yep. And you see, and those were scary steps of faith. Yeah. But yet you see that they're commended for their faith because God showed out in those moments, and how God looks to show out in our moments in the unknown. And for me, it was stepping from out of a denomination to join the independent Christian church and plant a church. And so to me, that was stepping into the unknown of what God was calling me for, something different that was already that God was doing within me. And so it's something amazing. It's scary. It's beautiful. But even just what happened last Sunday is a huge celebration.
Yep.
And even the partnership with Journey Christian Churches. I never imagined this.
Right.
But God knew this.
Exactly.
And that's the unknown.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, we have partnered with Encounter to where we don't want just people to go, we want to send them, and there's a difference. And so we want to help send with our prayers, with our finances. So by your generosity, we're able, whether you knew it or not, you're helping them. And really, really love that. One of the things I love, Pastor G, is he has such a great evangelistic heart. And you have to have one if you're going to plant a church.
Absolutely.
You know, because people aren't just going to go, oh, there's a new church, I should go. No, you got to.
Especially not now.
Not now.
Yeah, not in this season.
And Pastor G, it's one thing I've always appreciated about you is you just have a heart for Jesus, and you're overwhelmed with helping people know Him. And don't share any names. And if you don't want to share this story on video, that's fine. But you and I talked on Saturday, this past Saturday, and you told me about an encounter with somebody that got a mailer.
Yeah.
And they weren't, so a mailer, so hey, he's throwing out a mailer to the community to let people know about the service. Not everybody gets excited about those, and one person wanted to share his disapproval.
Yeah.
And I thought the way you even looked at that as an opportunity to love somebody instead of being discouraged, said a lot about your heart. Don't share his name or anything personal. Do you feel comfortable kind of sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I got a call, and so and it's like you know those times sometimes you get a call even if it's not a number that's recorded, you're like, I hope it's from the mailer, right? And so you get all excited, and so I answered it, and
so when you are a church planner, there is no such thing as a small step. Every little phone call, email, everything. So you're on the edge of your seat. I get that.
I'm excited, and I
Yes.
can't even sit still. So I answer the phone, I stand up, and I'm a very impatient talker. So I'm walking around in circles in the kitchen and dining room, and so all of a sudden, as soon as I answer, my smile goes from a smile to, what the heck is going on? Because this guy just started yelling on the phone, and he's yelling, he's cussing, he's saying all these different things, and he's very offensive, and so the whole time he's just talking to me, and I have to catch his words. So I'm trying to catch.
Is he speaking in English or Spanish? Because I know he's
Spanish.
I know he's Spanish.
And so he's talking fast in Spanish, and he's talking aggressively, and he's asking me questions, but then he's just with an answer. So and he was just angry at the faith. He was angry, and he was just a really offensive man. And so I just, immediately when that stuff happens, your blood just goes, right? And then I had to bring it down and say, Lord, have your way.
The day before you're about to plant.
And so he's just going at it, man. And so I was like, in Spanish, I responded, and I was like, hey, brother, I was like, I already love you. I was like, you don't have to love me right now. I was like, but I already love you and I respect you, so you need to respect me, you know? And I was like, the way you're articulating and communicating, it sounds like you have some kind of education. I was like, do you have an education? He's like, yes. And I was like, well, if you have an education, you should probably know how to have a conversation. Usually when you talk to somebody, you talk with respect, and then the person, when they're listening, they're receiving the information, and then they respond on what you had said, right? And I was like, but you're not letting me respond, and you're also attacking me, you know? And I was like, how about this? I was like, how about you allow me to respond, and I'm going to respond with respect, and then when you're able to respond back, you can respond back to me with respect. And he was just like, okay. And all of a sudden, this long rant, it went on for minutes, that he had, all of a sudden, it's okay. And we just started going back and forth. And I said, first, I want to get to know you. What's your name? So he shares his name. And then I was like, I just wanted to get to know about him. And he started sharing about his hurts and different things in church and his childhood and different things like that. And I apologized on behalf. I said, I don't know what exactly happened or who those people are, but if I can apologize on their behalf.
Wow.
I was like, not everybody's like that.
And this is a grown man.
That's awesome.
And in the middle of that conversation tells you that nobody's taken the time to hear my story.
Yeah.
So you got somebody, there's this phrase, hurt people hurt people. And just by you not being offended, by you seeing it as an opportunity, he literally said, nobody's taken the time to hear my story. And I guarantee that ministered to him. And we prayed when we were on the phone that not only does he come to Encounter, I believe he's going to be a pillar on your leadership team.
I'm praying.
It just shows you again, though, both things. One, the opportunity and the field, so to speak. The field is wide into harvest, as Jesus said, and ripe. But the opposition. It's what Paul wrote in, I think it's in one of the Corinthian letters. A great door of effective service has opened to me, and there are many who oppose me. And you know, the opportunity door always swings on the hinges of opposition, it seems like. But just a good reminder of that going into your launch service. But I love the fact that you just said, hey, you know what? I don't know what happened, but man, on behalf of the body, if we could adopt that posture so much more, Pastor G, in conversations with people that have been hurt, it would bring such healing in the body. Instead of being defensive, instead of us retaliating, instead of us, I said this past week in my message, you know, on social media, our profiles say, I love everyone like Jesus, but our timeline posts often insinuate, I hate everyone not like me. And that's and that is, it's another great line from Mark Batterson's book, but I shared it this past week with our church. It's easier to act like a Christian than it is to react like one.
That's good.
Yeah, it's easier to act like a Christian than it is to react like one. And brother, sounds like you reacted like a follower of Jesus.
I heard someone once say too that if somebody's response is bigger than the problem, then it's never about you. Meaning this, his response was so much bigger than a flyer. I mean, so clearly it wasn't about you. And I think that's just healthy to know. When somebody's response is bigger than the current problem, it's rarely about you. And so don't take it personal. Take a step back. How can I minister? How can I assess this? So really, love seeing your pastoral heart and that.
And he tried to, after we had a great conversation, we talked for over half an hour. And so, and after we were done talking, I could tell he was embarrassed. And so he was really already ready. He's like, already ready to hang up. And I said, well, hold on. I was like, I'm not going to let you go. I told him, I was like, I would like to have coffee with you. I was like, as long as when we have coffee, you respect me, I respect you. You don't have to agree with what I believe in. It's okay. I was like, I'm not going to try to convince you to my faith, but I'm going to share about my faith if you ask me. And I told him, I said, apologetics is my thing. I was like, so I would love to have conversations with you. And he's like, coffee? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you like coffee? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to call you and we're going to set up
Pastor G, if I were you and you had coffee, I'd sit down with him and take that first sip and go, this tastes just like the coffee in prison. This is so good. I would just casually just drop that. And just that might change the conversation demeanor a little bit.
It helped. I did share like less than a minute testimony of my past.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that also helped him. And so like, wow, this guy's different.
To know that you come from a broken background too. I mean, we all do, but not everybody processes that. And so when you process, hey, I've been hurt, I've been broken, that's really good. So coming back to this past weekend, really, really cool. A lot of things to be excited about. What are some things that you left just thanking God for?
Man, everything. It's been an emotional few days, so just a couple of days, and it's been an emotional time period.
You've been prepping for this day for several years, I imagine,
2
right?
years.
I was going to say it's been about 2 years.
2 years here,
and it got delayed because of COVID. So
we first met Pastor G a couple years ago.
At I met him at Spire. You may have met him earlier.
No, I met him at Spire in the fall of 2019.
Yeah. And so this has been in the process for a long time. We were hoping to launch last year, but as you know, COVID, but it's one of those things where it's been just grateful, even in when we hear about God saying, don't despise small beginnings.
It's good.
And I'm really, and even what I talked about yesterday about stepping into the unknown of the unknowing. A lot of times we want to get to a destination. We don't realize that with God, the journey is the destination. Because God is with us and God is in that process. And so right now, I'm just reminding myself of the destination is in the journey right now. And do not despise these small beginnings and celebrate every little bit of it. And it's caused me to be emotional and in a worship way. And so just seeing God come through in every big way and every little way. And so it's not even little, it's huge for me right now. And it's exciting. It really is.
Your worship team was something I left encouraged by. They had some energy, Pastor John. They
did.
By that last song, your guitar, maybe bassist, he was doing some laps. He was bouncing, and it made me want to dance, which takes a lot to get me to want to dance. Yeah. But I thought, you got a great team is what I saw. Great. They were prepared, great vocals, clearly loved the Lord. It was really neat.
Pastor G, thanks for coming over and spending some time with us after such a big day for you and your family and your church family, Encounter, Journey family. Just continue to lift up Encounter Christian Church as they're on what's your time, worship time?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. And you meet at Johnson University. Is it in the chapel?
Yep, in the Chapman Center, which is in a church, in a gym.
So the landmark, because there's a big landmark, it's right across, is that the rodeo? What is that thing?
No, it's the Orlando, the soccer team, the Orlando Health.
But the Osceola County.
Oh, yes.
What is that?
They're down the street, yeah.
That big, really big.
Silver Spurs Arena?
Silver Spurs Arena.
Silver Spur Arena. Well, it used to be the Houston Astros used to train right across the street.
Yes.
So they got a local baseball
Where the
stadium.
Orlando Health is now. Yep.
That's what's there now.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So Silver Spurs, so right there.
So that's where they're located at in Kissimmee, 11 a.m. If you're over on the southeast, southern part of town, you want to stop by and worship with Pastor G, I know they would welcome you there. And Pastor G, anything in particular we can pray for you about?
Before you jump in that, I'd even give a shout out. If you are a college student or know a college student at Johnson University, I got to imagine they would love to have a conversation with you. Maybe God's calling you to help with this church plant right on your campus. Yeah. And so if you know a college student at Johnson, I know that would bless you as well. And I interrupted you. You were asking.
I was just going to say, how can anything in particular we can pray for you about, Pastor G?
Just that may we, keep growing. Also in our relationship with the Lord, to be ready as God prepares us and sends us into the harvest. And that if you feel the calling as well to serve, if you don't have to have the experience, we'll walk together in that journey, and we'll prepare in serving the Lord and His kingdom. Amen. And so we're excited to just to make a difference in our community.
Very good. All right, thanks for joining us this week. Pastor G, thanks for joining us. And thank you for being a part of Midweek Conversations this week. We continue on the sermon series we just started this past Sunday at Journey called Shift Your If, and we're in Romans 8, and the challenge I gave is read Romans 8 every day for the next 3 weeks. A lot of people were saying, what are you going to do after daily acts? I said, read Romans 8. If you get the message of Romans 8 caught in your spirit, it will change you. It really will. There's so many great verses in that. And we'll be studying another one this coming Sunday on the Shift Your If series. As always, Pastor John, Pastor Dustin here, we are loving the journey. Thanks for being with us.
See ya.